Felicia,
Fresh.
you changed history today.
We did.
What happened?
We used a laser engraver cutting machine to cut vinyl.
Not only that, but you put one of your Cricuts on Facebook
I
Marketplace.
put one of my Cricuts on Facebook Marketplace.
This is crazy that you're doing things like this today. I can't believe it. Who else does that? Never mind, but xTool M1.
xTool M1.
Laser cutter and blade cutter so you can cut cardstock and vinyl. You did
absolutely.
all this on one machine?
We made both of these on this one machine.
Wait. This is wood?
Wood.
There's two pieces of wood. It looks pretty thick.
Wood that are magnetically attached.
And you engraved these middle pieces?
We did.
And cut those two?
Yes.
With a laser?
With a laser.
And then these are beautiful. Look how the letters just really pop.
Right?
And you really can't beat vinyl for that. Engraving makes it kind of dark. You can paint it, but why paint it?
Right. So this one's not painted. This one is painted just for effect. This one's got a whitewash on it where this one does not.
I'm talking about the letters.
Just the letters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Why not use vinyl?
All right. So you're telling me this thing can cut things with a laser beam
Yes.
and also cut vinyl.
Yes.
Well, you have to show me that.
And engrave at the same time.
Show me that,
Let's
Felicia.
do it. To get started, let's go ahead and open up xTool Creative Space software. And the first thing we're going to want to do is bring in our anchor image. So under Images on the left, I'm going to navigate to where I have my file stored for this project. Okay, so here's my anchor, and I'm going to just go ahead and say open. Now, the image that I have here is two. I have an anchor and an anchor with a circle in the middle, and I only want the anchor by itself. So I'm going to select the one I don't want and just delete that. I'm going to resize this anchor here, and I could do that in two ways. One, I could just drag the corners until I get it the way I want, or I can type in the exact size that I'd like to have, and this is going to be 11.6. And I'm going to unlock the center so that I can change the aspect ratio to what I want it to be. And I want this to be 8.8. So this is going to be the size of my anchor, and it fits perfectly on my 12 by 12 piece of wood. Now this anchor looks great and all, but I kind of want an anchor that has circles on the ends versus these slashes on both sides. So I'm going to go under Insert and Circle, and I'm going to make a circle. And I'm going to change the dimensions of that to 1.5. Unlock the aspect ratio so that I can make the height 1.5 as well. All right, so then I'm going to position that exactly where I want it over the end, about like so, and I'm going to right click on it, say copy, right click and paste, and position this one exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to select both of them and go under Align and Align Vertical. And then I'm going to select everything and go under Combine and Unite. Now it's just one image that I'm going to set to Cut on the right. We'll take a look at the cut settings and adjust those once we get the design all created. So the next thing we're going to do is add in some text. We're going to put the text on a curve around the top. We're going to add text across this bar, and then we're going to add text across the bottom. So I'm going to click on the text tool on the left, and then I'm going to click on hello, which is in the text box on the right, and I'm going to change that to the text that I want. Let the ocean inspire your soul. And I'm going to change the font to this Bay-Based News. And then you can see what I want to do here is shrink this down just a little bit, move it in position. Now to curve it, there's this little blue dot here. It looks like a curve if you look at it really closely. If I click and drag that, I can now curve my text super easy. And then I'll release that, grab that text and try to position it where I want it. Grab one of the corners to shrink it down a little bit to get it to fit within my circle. And then I can adjust that arc or that curve to make it what I want it to be. That looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. All right, that looks pretty good. Now this piece, this text that I just curved is going to be cut in vinyl. So we'll just go ahead and mark that as cut as well, but we'll deal with the cut settings in just a little bit. Now I need to put text across the top here. So I'm going to click on that text tool again, and in the text box on the right, we're going to change this to, you can put names there, you can put whatever text you want there. We're going to go ahead and use Lido Deck Diaries, which is the name of one of our YouTube channels, if you're interested. And I'll move that down here. I'm going to go ahead under fonts and change that to Avenir Next. And I'm going to change the style to a demi bold. And then I can grab the corners and size that down to the size that I'd like it to be in this space. Okay, looks pretty good so far. And then one more time to the text tool, and I'm going to change that text to, we'll just call it Cruise Family. This could be your family's last name or whatever you wanted it to be. We'll drag that down here, and we're going to change that font face to the Avenir Next as well. And we're going to make this one bold italic. And then we can size that one down a little bit as well. And if you want, you can curve it with the curve here or leave it however you'd like it to be. In my case, I think I'm going to leave it straight on like this. Now I can grab everything and go under Align Horizontal so that everything is nicely aligned on my anchor. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to select all that, move it to the side. Our anchor is now designed the way we want it to be for the pieces that are going to go on the background of the actual anchor itself. Now we need to add in a circle that's going to sit with a magnet right here, and we're going to go ahead and go under Insert, Circle, and grab a circle. And under size, we're going to change that to a 3-inch circle, unlock it so that we can change the height for our aspect ratio. And then this is how it would sit on top of our anchor. So what's going to go in our circle? Well, I'm going to put a cruise ship in there, the name of the ship I'm sailing on, the dates that I'll be sailing, as well as a ship wheel. So I'm going to go under Image, and I'm going to first grab the ship that I want. And I have this SVG file here that I downloaded from Creative Fabrica, and I'm going to remove pieces and parts. I don't want this piece. Move it over here so you can see better. I don't want those. I don't want that. I don't want any of these words. I really just want the ship and the birds and the waves. That's really all I'm looking for with this. So I'm going to grab those and I'm going to group them. These are going to be engraved. I'm going to worry about the specific engraved settings in a little bit once we're finished designing, but for now we're just going to size this down and put it in our circle the way we want it to be. Then we're going to go back under text on the left, and we'll put in the name of our ship. We'll say, let's see which one we're going to sail on this time. Icon of the Seas. Okay, and we'll change that font as well to Times New Roman, and we'll make it bold italic. This will also be engraved. Well, then we'll size it down and put it in place, and then size it to fit within the circle. All right, grab the text tool again, and this time we'll put in the dates we're sailing, and we'll just make it up. We'll say March 1st through 7th, 2024. I don't even know if that's true cruise dates, but that's okay. And we'll change our font to Times again, New Roman, and we'll bold that, but we won't italicize it. And then we'll drag that to be smaller than our Icon of the Seas. And we'll go ahead and zoom in on that so you can see a little bit better. Here we go. All right, that's looking pretty good. Use your arrow keys on your keyboard to move things around a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and mark that one for engrave as well. It's just a little easier to see on the screen. The last thing we're going to do is upload one more image. And that's going to be our ship wheel. I think I'll use this one. Bring that over, and it came in really big, so we'll size that down. And put that in place so we can size it to fit the rest of our circle. All right, we'll grab everything and we'll align horizontal. All right, that looks pretty good. So this is, let me shrink that back down again, show you what it's going to look like. So we've got our anchor and our, oops, undo, and our circle. This is going to sit on a piece of wood on top of our anchor with a magnet so that it can be changed out for whatever cruises we're heading out on. Timing is absolutely everything. I just had a friend reach out to me and tell me they're going on a Norwegian Prima cruise in June. So I'm going to go ahead and update the title, the name of the ship, and the dates for this so I can give it to them as a gift. So they're sailing on the Norwegian Prima. So we're just going to change that name and then click on the dates, and under the text box to the right, go ahead and change the dates to June 13th through 23rd, 2024. And then size these down to fit inside our circle. And select everything and align horizontal. All right, so now we have an actual gift we're going to be giving to somebody. They already have an anchor, but I'm going to give them this centerpiece so they can attach it magnetically to their current anchor and replace it with the one they previously had. They were on the Icon of the Seas with us. We're ready to cut now, and we're going to do 3 different types of cuts. We're going to cut the anchor on xTool walnut wood. We're going to cut these words on white vinyl, and we're going to cut this small circle with the ship and the name of the ship on 3mm basswood. So the first thing we're going to do is, I've already got my walnut wood loaded into the machine, so I'm going to click on refresh so we get a preview of what that's going to look like. Then I am going to move this over slightly, and I'm going to select my circle and move it outside the canvas area, or outside the viewable cut area for the machine. I'm going to do the same thing for my words, and I'm just going to move them outside that cut area. And that way we're only focused on the anchor for the start. This is the only piece that's going to be cut on the walnut wood. So I'm going to grab this circle up here at the top and rotate my anchor, because it is a little bit too big. When it was up this way, you could see that it's too big to fit on my piece of 12 by 12 walnut wood from xTool. So I'm just going to rotate it to get it to fit on my piece of wood. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. So the next thing we want to do is, for this particular cut piece, I want to make sure that, one, that I'm using open plane from the list of different settings here. And I'm going to choose my material as the 3mm black walnut plywood, and I'm going to auto measure, and that looks good. And I'm going to check that my anchor is set for cut, and I found that the power of 100 works great, and speed of 8. So power of 100, speed at 8, and number of passes is 2 works well for me in this particular wood. So I'm going to go ahead and click on framing and frame it. Looks good. And then process. And you can see here on the preview that only the anchor is showing up in my preview. Everything that's been pushed off to the side is not part of this particular cut process. So I'll go ahead and click on start and go over to the machine and start the process. The next thing we're going to do is refresh our machine, and I've added a piece of 3mm basswood into the machine, and now once I've refreshed it, I can see that. So I'm going to take my anchor and I'm going to move it all the way off the screen, because I don't need that anymore, because we're going to focus this time on our circle, which is going to be the magnetic part that attaches to our anchor. And I'll pull that over onto our wood. And I'm going to double check that I have my settings set correctly. So the circle is going to be set for a cut, and I'm going to do power of 100, speed of 8 with 2 passes. Everything else inside the circle is going to be set to engrave. So I want to make sure that that is set, and that I'm using the settings power 70, speed 175 with 1 pass. So I'm just going to click on each of those pieces to make sure that they're set that way. But now that I think about it, the very first thing I need to do is go back over under material and change that to 3mm basswood plywood. And I'm going to go ahead and do an auto measure on that as well. Everything looks good. So again, just making sure that my Material, the items inside the circle are set to engrave at power 70, speed 175 with pass of 1. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So I'm ready to go ahead and process this. And you can see that the only thing inside the preview is that circle. And the gotcha here is when I click on start and start the machine, I'm going to leave my air assist off while it's processing, and then while it's doing the engraving piece, I should say. And then when it does the circle cutout, I'm actually going to turn my air assist back on, and we'll explain why in a second.
All right, so we ran a little test. We wanted to see what happens with air assist and without it. So the top one, air assist off for the entire thing, the engraving and the cut. And you can see it looks pretty good. It's pretty sharp, isn't it? Except for the outside, the cut itself seems a little nasty. But the assist on, it looks blurry. Doesn't the engraving look blurry?
It does look blurry.
But the cut looks great. So we thought, what are we going to do here? What did you end up doing?
We ended up turning air assist off for the engraving part, but then turning it on immediately for the cut part.
Felicia, you're a genius.
Right? All right, now we're ready to do our vinyl. So we're going to remove the backing from our mat, which is going to be stuck down to the base of the xTool machine.
Slide paper.
And we're going to take the backing off of the front, which is where we're going to put our vinyl. And we're just going to lay this inside our machine. Make sure you
wipe that off.
Make sure you wipe that base off. This is the base plate that you put in place of the honeycomb. Yeah. And then you stick that down in there nicely.
Made that mistake before.
Right. So do make sure you wipe that out first.
So it needs to stick so it doesn't slide. Right?
Correct.
What's this?
And now we're going to put in the blade inside the blade housings and then insert that into the machine.
That's amazing. You can leave this in all the time, I think, can't you?
You can. We don't do very much. We hadn't been doing very much vinyl cutting until now.
Whoa. You don't have to take it apart to put it in?
No, you just pop. It's magnetic.
What?
Right? How cool is that?
That's pretty.
So now we're ready to do our vinyl, and I already have my mat loaded into the machine, so I'm going to pull over the pieces that I want to cut in vinyl onto my canvas and then place them where I want. That looks good. And the first thing we want to do is change from open plane to blade cut. And we're going to choose our vinyl is, let's do self-adhesive PVC sheet and see what we can get. All right, I just loaded a piece of vinyl into the machine and I'm going to hit refresh. And now I can see my vinyl in place. So I'm going to move these pieces onto that vinyl, see if I can get it to fit. And I can. And let's see what this machine can do. All right, now that we've finished cutting, let's go ahead and weed out all the pieces and parts that we don't need. I found that the larger text or larger font weeded fairly easily with the machine, but the smaller part, I actually had to cut a couple of times and adjust the settings.
What'd you end up with?
I adjusted the pressure to about 120 to get those really small, tiny pieces to cut nicely. Even with a Cricut machine or any other kind of cutting machine, the tiny text is really a little bit tricky to weed out, so you have patience with it.
I've seen you struggle with the small stuff before. This did a pretty good job, right? Comparable to the Cricut?
Absolutely comparable to the Cricut.
Unbelievable you can do all this on one machine.